Hey guys, so here's some HESI study prep for you. If you go into our course, go under supplemental material, look at HESI prep, and I have several things here. I want to start with study sessions. One of our accelerated students is helping just host some study sessions let's say the week of Thanksgiving. I don't think you guys need the pharmacological review or the health assessment, but this one might be interesting to you if you struggle taking a test. This student is an excellent test taker, and she's looked at a couple different resources to pull together a way to answer these questions. So if you want to attend that, feel free. I think it says where you're at. Yep, 14B right there. The next thing I have is a study guide. This is a pretty comprehensive, it's about 5 pages long, guide of what you need to review prior to going into the HESI. I stopped almost every one of you when you were coming out of the exam on Wednesday of this week and asked you how writing out the study sheet helped you, and the majority of you said something to the effect that it made me sit down and study, it made me read my book, it made you do something. So even the ladies from Elsevier were saying, wow, they utilized their notes, but they weren't reading them. They weren't going, they weren't poring over them, spending a lot of time. And I think it's because that time that you spent finding the answer and writing down those answers stuck that information in your head. So I intentionally left this kind of wide spaced so you can write notes on it. You can't take it in the HESI, but physically writing it down, we know that increases your retention of information. So I would just encourage you to use this as a guide for everything to follow. Also, note you do have a textbook. If you haven't cracked that textbook, go back and read your textbook. Especially parts of this that if you don't understand something, go back and look at that. Then I did a couple of different links. I like this lady. She always does a really good job. Oh rats, I need to fix that to make it do it where it'll do it in a new window. She's an Archer review. It's a long one. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, but it's a good one if you need that overall review session. Then I did a registered nurse. It's a quick one. I think hers is about 20 minutes. She just kind of does some study tips. I left this one in there because this girl says she made 1241 on her jury test, and she gives you some brief little tidbits. It's really quick. It's about 2 minutes long. And then I have two different ones in here that are just some jury questions. I always think those are kind of fun to test yourself. Now let's go over to SurePath. And when we look at SurePath, I want you to scroll all the way to the bottom, open up your folder that says exams, and then scroll down to HESI Prep. In here, I've got every video that is available for this topic. Some of these you've seen before if you looked at the lessons, because all of these are incorporated into one lesson or another that we have had access to. But if you haven't looked at them, view them. I don't think that's going to hurt anybody to look at these, especially if you're a visual learner. The other thing I wanted to point out is right above this prep, go to in-class use, and you have all of these NCLEX questions that you can do independently. Look, they're not long. Most of them have, 7 questions? They've got 7 questions. So utilize these to get you thinking along the right way for the NCLEX style question. And then finally, you guys all know you have this available. Go back up to, how do I do that? You can make your own EAQs. The reason I share that is because if you're looking through any of this information and you're just completely lost, you don't have any idea what we're talking about, then find that chapter in the book and make yourself some EAQs over it. So first, go through this. Then if you don't understand it, go back and read the book about it. And then if it's still unclear, go back and do EAQs. I think I've told several of you this. I encourage my daughter to do a set amount or a set time frame of EAQs every day instead of spending 4 hours in front of the computer doing EAQs. Your brain just doesn't retain that. So I've encouraged her for each of her classes to do either 30 minutes or 30 questions, 30 made EAQs, whichever works for you. So utilize those. If you have any questions, do holler at me via email and I'll be able to respond and let me know how I can help you. Thanks, guys.